Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Relentless Pursuit podcast, YouTube channel, whatever it is you want to call this thing. Coming to a place near you. I don't know what channel you're on. You're on probably some wave. We're trying to take over the internet. That's what's happening. But we are here. Episode 2. If we're a little groggy eyed, we're running on a little bit of caffeine and Jesus right now. That's pretty much what we're going with tonight. And we're going to see what happens in this one. But tonight, guys, I'm excited because we are going to be talking about the state of men. And in particular, we're really going to talk about when everything really starts to feel heavy. I mean, think about it. If you are a guy, I guarantee you've gone through points in your life when, things feel heavy. And a lot of times when things start to feel heavy, it rains, it pours. That's just what it is. One thing happens and then another, and next thing you know, that weight that's on your shoulders feels like it is a full-ton truck. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that tonight, and we're going to be talking about what it, just calling it out for what it is, and hopefully being able to get some practical things from our experiences that maybe can help you guys if you are feeling like the weight of the world right now is on your shoulders. This is not about motivating you. This is not about, doing some David Goggins type stuff here, Rocky Balboa. No, if you're here just to get motivated, you might as well check out now and not watch the next 40 minutes because it's not going to help you. I'm sorry. It's not going to motivate you in that way. What it is about, though, is diagnosing the root problem. I know. I told you my words are going to be great tonight. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But it's going to be about diagnosing the root cause, looking at the root problems of things that men face, calling it out for what it is, being brutally honest and truthful, and just helping guys out. That's really what we're here for, to help each other out. So, I want you guys, first of all, to know if you're feeling tired or distracted or overwhelmed, any of those things, which, by the way, all men feel usually every day in some way, shape, or form, maybe all three at once. Guess what? You're normal. You're not broken. First of all, you are not broken. That's not how that works. Okay. What it is sometimes we just get overloaded. It's not necessarily that we're lazy. Sometimes we're just overloaded and we're just underled. That's really just what it's about. Men today feel a lot of pressure to leave their homes, pressure at their workplaces, pressure with their finances. We live in an economy right now that's really tough to live with. Cost of living goes up, salaries don't. So therefore you end up being behind the ball. Okay. But I want tonight to be about clarity, guys. I want it to be about helping us to see this thing a little bit better and to just know that you're normal. You're not broken. And there are some things that we can do, though, to kind of help alleviate some of that weight if you've been feeling that a lot of times. So I'm going to kick it over to Ian, and he's going to talk about some things. I'm not even sure what.
And
Something.
we're just winging this one tonight. It's fine. We're good.
Told you.
We might as well start by going into a little bit of why men in general feel so burdened, right? What is causing us to feel so heavy, so burdened, so weighed down? Why do we feel this way in the first place? It's better if we understand it, then we can know better how to fix it, right? Obviously, the most obvious reason why what we as men are experiencing is chronic fatigue, right? And that's just rampant across, I think, everybody, but especially men. I know John and I have seen it time after time after time with the men that we've worked with their health and wellness. It's just everyone is tired and no one can. It doesn't matter how much sleep you get throughout the night. No one feels rested the next day. It's just go, 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 go. It's a beat down. It's just you're always tired because there's always something going on, right? And of course, that leads to short tempers. It leads to stress in maybe your marriage or your other relationships at work. The stress and the overwhelming and the chronic fatigue, it just beats you down mentally. It actually starts messing with your confidence level. And if you have lack of confidence, then you have a lack of drive, whether that's sexually, physically, spiritually. It just starts seeping into everything. Your faith feels distant and you're basically just going through the motions. You always feel like you've got to be on, that's why a lot of men, unfortunately, are pounding these energy drinks. And that's a whole nother topic to begin with. Don't be doing that. That's horrible for you. It's not quick necessarily, but it's a for sure way to a heart arrhythmia or worse, but you're never really there. We're always feeling like we got to do something, but a lot of times we don't even really know what that something is being worked, or we don't even know what we're working towards. We don't know why. We just know we're here where we've got to be doing either family stuff or work stuff or marital stuff. It's just, but there's no real more depth behind that other than we're just trying to show up and do our best. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't have a purpose or calling and you're not actively working towards that, if you don't know why that you're working on your marriage, you're showing up for work, you're showing up for your family, then you're never fully gonna be fulfilled because that pressure, the stress of life and everything without a purpose behind it is just gonna create burnout. And if you haven't felt it already, I'm sure you're probably pretty close to it because it crushes you. It really does. When us as men don't know why because we are tasked, right? It is our job to carry the weight of our families, carry, responsibilities at work. That's what we're supposed to do as men. Something we should be able to take pride in and understand why, but we have to actually understand why we're carrying that, right? We actually have to have that purpose behind it. Because if we don't know what we're doing it for, then it just crushes us and we not only burn out, but we give up and we become complacent. So there's 4 pressures that we've identified among modern men, and I'll take the first 2 and then John will take the next 2, as to what we've kind of seen feeds into this and causes this overload and burnout. The first and foremost is a mental and dopamine overload. What we are talking about specifically are these little black boxes. Android if you're smart, iPhone if you're John. Then he goes,
I'm going to end this call right now if you're going to act that way. What are you doing?
I'm the odd man
You
out.
would go there. You would go there on the call. Yeah, you would go there on the clip.
I almost didn't, but I had to.
If you have an apple, drop a comment in here with a picture of an apple just so we can irritate you.
You mean, yeah, do
The
it.
same.
Android people, stay strong. Whether it's an Android or an iPhone, you gotta. We see this time after time. It's the dopamine hit. It's the just quick scrolling. Whether it's quick videos, quick posts, those short second clips are actually scientifically proven to damage your brain the longer you look at them, because not only does the dopamine hit keep coming and it like trains our body to get used to that and search for it, it actually practically kills off other parts of your brain that you need for decision making, for focus, stuff like that. Not only do simple scrolling and the dopamine hit that we get from likes, comments, whatever it is, cause an overload because it's just so much information overload, the access that we have to it, right? The explicit images and videos that we have access to, the just constant noise, whether it's news sources or from the scrolling or whatever it is, it's literally a computer in your hand. You have access to anything and everything. And now with AI, it's getting even crazier. It's a mental overload. And there's a lot to say when it comes for the state of your mind and how that directly correlates to the state of your physical being and biological being and vice versa. And that's something we can get into later. But when you don't give yourself, and this is in between the stress of everything else, right? This is when you're taking a bathroom break, or this is for the 5 minutes you're sitting on the sofa at night before you pass out, or this may be even in bed when your wife's trying to talk to you, or you could be having that time together and you guys are just sitting there scrolling on the phone, right? You're not giving yourself time to rest. You're not giving your brain time to just dump and relax and focus on something that is actually constructive and important. Without giving your brain that time of stillness, then it's no wonder that most men don't have a clear vision of where they're going or why they're doing what they're doing. They're just constantly feeding your brain and constantly going with no real direction, right? And that's why when we work with these people, they're like, well, I don't have time to do this program, right? That's a big objection we hear. And then you start digging into it a little deeper and you're like, well, your phone says you spend 4 hours a day on your phone on average. Let's start there. Or, hey, what time do you get up for work? Oh, you get up at 6? Okay. Well, then we're just going to get up at 5 and to make sure we get that workout in, right? But it's so hard to see that when you're just constantly feeding your mental state with things that shouldn't be first of all, or just with senseless noise and scrolling and just constant activity. Another one that we have seen time and time and time again is isolation. Lone wolfing it through this life is not what you were created to do. It just wasn't. I'm sorry. I know there's alpha males out there that'll get all butthurt about this. You can be an alpha male and still be in a community. It's actually in the Bible. It's extremely important for you to be in community. We've seen it time and again where guys will isolate after something happens, or we will be trying to pull them out of isolation. And it is such a fight, man. And it is so sad to see those that have been in community who then choose to isolate after an event and how they stray, how they go downhill, right? A lot of it has to do with our macho, I got this mindset or attitude that we've been taught, or, subconsciously or consciously growing up. A lot of us have been like, hey, I'm the man, which means I have to have all the answers. I have to have it all together. I have to have a plan, whether or not we actually have a plan. Because a lot of times we say we have a plan and we're really just making it up as we go along. It's this, I got this alpha mindset that really is hindering your growth. You do got this, like, sure, you do, but you also need a community of brothers around you, behind you, beside you for those tough times. Another pain point here, without that brotherhood, without that community, guess what? You're not going to have anyone speaking into your life. You're not going to have anyone calling you out on your crap. You're not going to have anyone coming at you and be like, hey, I see what you're doing here, but I don't think that's the right course of action for you. Or, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but like these habits you have are actually hurting you a lot more than you think they do. The tough love aspect of a community that is sorely needed. Like, you don't have that mirror reflecting on you, and you're not able to see yourself completely, if you will, because you don't have those people speaking into your life. You don't have those people close enough that you let in and be close enough to you, that have that ability that you've given that access to actually speak into your life in that way. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's for the better. It's how we get better. It's how we fix things. It's how we change the things that need to be changed. It's so important. But as guys, we are horrible at seeking out community. And when we do, the first time something happens that makes us uncomfortable, we will silently just Homer Simpson it and drift into the background and just disappear, right? And it's not biblical and it's not healthy. And to get through this life, especially the way the world is today, without a community, without a brotherhood, the enemy is already like, ching, got him, right? You can have a great spiritual life. I'm not saying anyone who's kind of more of a loner doesn't have a great relationship with God. There are plenty of examples, prophets or whatever, who spent a lot of time by themselves for that spiritualness. But I'm talking about in your day-to-day life. Enemy loves isolation, because what's harder to take out, a one-man army or a 3,000-man army or a 3 million-man army, right? It really is that simple. That's what it comes down to. If you're isolated, you're more open to attack. It's harder to pick yourself up because you don't have community of brothers around you to help. It's just, none of it's good. None of it's good. I know it feels safe. I know it feels comfortable. Trust me, I've done it in the past. And it's super tempting to even do it now during some seasons, but it's just not good. You don't grow the way you should, the way God has created us to, without a brotherhood or community. So, John, take the next two from me before I keep running my mouth.
Man, it's starting getting heavy in here. I don't know about you guys, but some of those things I know for a while, like we were talking about the whole isolation thing. That's a real thing, guys. It really is. If you've never felt the weight of that, of feeling isolated and disconnected, it's a real thing. And you might be experiencing that now. And this might be the moment where you're like, I do need community. This might be like where you're like, I need some brothers in my life. I got to get isolation. Guess what? That's why we're here. That's why the Relentless Pursuit 247 is to get men connected, to get brotherhood established, and ultimately to grow. So yes, small pitch for the biz right there. But you know what? That is why we're here. And it's just part of it. But the third one we want to talk about, and it's funny that he gave me the third and fourth, because the third one's like my wheelhouse here. Because for those of you that don't know, like, my claim to fame over the last 13 years has been in education, particularly in health and physical wellness. That's like been what I went to school for. That's what I went studied. I studied kinesiology. The body and how you steward it has always been something that's really, really important to me. And if you've ever read the Bible actually talks a lot about healthy stewardship of what God has given you. And guess what? God has given each and every one of you who's watching this a body. And that wasn't a body that he designed for you just to stuff monsters down with and Twinkies and ding dongs and all these other things. Actually, I know we shake our head because it's true. That's the thing though. We go to McDonald's, we grab the fries, we get the shake, we go, it's everywhere. But we neglect our bodies, you guys, we do. And when we call guys out on it, or we talk to guys about it, then what do we hear? We hear guys say, well, I'm just busy. I don't have time to take care of my body. Like I got a family to provide for. I work 20 hours a day. I do all this thing. I'm just too busy. Okay. Okay. That's a good excuse. I'm just too busy. That's the pet peeve word I don't respond to. We all got 24 hours, guys. Guess what? I see lots of guys that are busy that are also taking care of their body. I know a great friend of mine who's got 5 kids, runs a school as a principal, and yet somehow still finds time in the morning to get up into what he calls his grinder and get some work in to take care of his body because he knows what it does for him, not just physically, but in all areas of life. And if he can do it while also having kids on 27 million travel teams and running around, like, Pops, you know who I'm talking about here. Don't tell me you're busy.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of guys also say, like, well, I used to be in shape. Well, cool. Your body loved you probably back then. Sorry, probably not so much anymore. That's cool. But the cool thing about that though is that if like you were once in shape, you know what that felt like. Like I'm talking to a good brother of mine who used to be in the military. He was in great shape, had kind of let himself go a little bit, but he knows what he needs to do and he knows how it felt to be in shape. So that's a great thing to know, right? Because it means that he knows how he used to feel and how great it was, and he wants to get back to it. So it's motivating a little bit. One of the other ones I hear a lot is, I'll just get back to it. What do you mean? What do you mean to get back to it?
I will.
Like, here's the reality though, guys, is like when we neglect our body, when we decide that we're just not going to take care of ourselves the way that we should, when we lose that physical edge, guess what? It affects more than just your body composition. It affects more than just the waistline and the number on that scale. Here's what it does. It affects your energy, first and foremost. Okay. If you're not taking care of your body, you drag, you're fatigued. Ian's already talked about it. You're tired all the time. There's a direct correlation between how you steward your body and your energy levels. Okay. A lot of times we see the guys that are pounding 3, 4, 5 energy drinks a day are the ones that are really let their bodies go, the ones that are most neglecting their body. If you learn to take care of your body, you actually get natural energy. That's something a lot of guys don't understand is like, we didn't have monsters for 2,000 years. We didn't have bangs and rangs and ghosts and all these other ones like, and Celsius and Alani's. I teach high school. Sorry. I see them all day long. Every class period, kids are bringing these things in. But you get my point. Like we didn't have these things hundreds of years ago. So what did people do when they got tired? I think we just, as a society, a state of man, lost the ability to and understand what it means to take care of your body.
Yeah.
For generations and generations, we knew. When we don't take care of our physical selves, we lose that energy. We also lose our confidence, right? We look at ourselves and I think subconsciously we're saying, I'm lazy, I'm fat, I'm overweight, I'm a piece of crap. I hear that a lot from guys. And it's like, it's the immediate self-sabotage that they're talking to themselves. It's that self-talk that they're giving themselves of like, I'm just a terrible human being because I can't even take care of my own body. So they lose their confidence. Okay, so now we got a guy who has no energy and no confidence, all because he's not taking care of his body. He's feeling the weight of his physical neglect, right? Not the place we want to be in. And that's only a couple things. I'll throw a couple more out there. And this one's going to hit men hard. Boys, I know a lot of right now, the big buzzwords is this T. There's a lot of people on TRT because of low T and all these things. Neglect your body, guys, is going to play with your testosterone. Your testosterone is going to be all over the place. Your ability to have a stable testosterone is not going to be there. Okay. So if you want a healthy testosterone, we got to take care of our bodies. Ian talked about it earlier with dopamine and all these things that are mentally that we need. When we don't take care of our body, our ability to tolerate stress and cortisol, like that stress hormone and all those things, that goes out the window. Our mental resilience, all these things that we've been talking about are impacted by how we take care of our body. Your body is not separate from leadership. It's actually a very big piece of your leadership. If you are good at leading yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, it's going to pour into all other areas of life. Okay. A tired body, guys, really just creates a discouraged mind. That's really it. Okay. When we can't take care of our body and we're tired and fatigued and all these things, it starts to play games with us mentally. Okay. We start doubting ourselves in all aspects of life. We start telling ourselves, well, if we can't take care of our body, how are we going to take care of our family? If I can't take care of my body, how am I going to be able to keep a job? How am I going to be able to have a healthy marriage? How am I going to be able to do all these things? So it's a pressure. It is. It's huge. I'm sorry. I could talk on physical neglect all day long because it's just like my wheelhouse. I see it all the time. And it's just a piece of it. But I want to make sure we get to all these things before, I don't know if there's a cap limit on these videos, but we might play around with that tonight. I don't know. I know. Ian's like, oh my gosh, what are we getting ourselves
Oh,
into
shit.
tonight? I warned you. I warned you going into it. This is what it could be.
I know.
But here's the big one. Here's the big one to wrap up. Okay. The big one the big other pressure that a lot of men struggle with, battle with, is this idea of spiritual passivity. Okay. And as men, especially if you look at biblical masculinity and the idea about it, if you like really do some research on it, men have become passive. We become passive in the church. We become passive as our spiritual leaders in the household. It's just most men will believe in God. You talk to them, they'll be like, yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I go to church sometimes. I pray when, yeah, exactly. I go to church when, the Packers aren't playing or my Broncos aren't playing that day or they got the late game, whatever. No New England fans here. Sorry. But yeah, I go when it's convenient. And, I pray. I prayed the other day when, this thing happened or this bad thing happened. And it's like we end up, you know, using prayer as a source of when we're in need, not when we just want to talk to our Father. There's really no daily obedience going on here because we just become super passive in our walk with God and in our faith. We use Christianity, and you can see this a lot in today's society. Like people will use Christianity as a label. We actually just talking about this yesterday in our prayer call. Like we use it as a label, but we don't use it as a lifestyle. Like you can hear people all the time saying, "I'm a Christian. I do this. But do you actually? Do the fruits of your life embody that of a Christian? Can we tell that you're a Christian by how you walk, how you act, how you do all these things, how you carry yourself? Because a lot of times, guys, we're just using it as a label. We just walk around saying, yeah, I got a Christian right here, right across my chest, right across my forehead. But yet we're not doing anything to grow in our walks in our faith. And if we are passive as men, what happens is that this can cause it can cause us to have guilt without actually growing in our walk. It can cause us to have conviction without actually changing. It's like God gives us his revelations and these convictions, but yet we don't use them and don't actually change the behavior. It causes distance from our purpose. God's called you. If you have breath in your lungs, God has a calling and a purpose in your life. I truly believe that for every single person because God created you unique. But if we're passive in our walks, honestly, guys, it just makes us more distance from that purpose. And this is probably the biggest one is that you get no inner peace. You get no inner pieces. Man, you wake up every day and you're either already stressed out, you're already talking down by yourself, all these things, you're stressed, you're doing this, you're running a million miles an hour, and you never get a chance to just be at peace. And that's something that God can give us through the works of the Holy Spirit and just give us that inner peace that a lot of people may have never experienced before. Okay. So, and peace doesn't come just from belief alone. Yes, you can believe in God and yes, he can grant you peace, but it's from the daily obedience. It's from taking the actions every day of, hey, I'm going to make Christ the root of my life. I'm going to spend time with the Father. Think of him like your best friend. Are you really only going to your best friend when you have times in need? I mean, maybe with Ian and I usually just buzz him like 20 times a day telling him something I need, but that's just kind of how that works. But, but seriously, like think of it like one of your best friends. It's like you seek them out. You like to spend time with them. That's how you should treat your Father in heaven. It's like it's from that daily obedience and from wanting a relationship with him. Because guys, a man who isn't spiritually anchored ends up getting pulled from everything else. If you're not anchored in Christ, you are just a ship in a sea that is raging and storming, and you're just going to go in any other direction except the one that God has planned for you. Okay. And that's a hard life to live. Think about how stressful of a life that kind of lives. Now, Ian talked about jabbering on. I jabbered on too long. I'm going to kick it back over to him. And, he's going to talk to us a little bit about like just some of the lies that we believe, like some of the little things that just get to us over time.
Yeah. So I'm guilty of saying a couple of these things myself, just trying to really, they're just excuses. Some of them, they're lies, but they're also excuses for not stepping up and taking responsibility or ownership of my action or inaction, right? Or for the situation that I found myself in. So here's some of the top lies that we found most amongst the male gender. And this one at the top, number one, is just completely kind of blowing it off and is like, well, this is just being an adult. I'm exhausted, just kind of pondering through my day. It is what it is. I bring food home to the table. I work a crap ton of hours. I'm just kind of sludging through life. This is just the way adulthood is. That's normalizing a sense of misery that you have chosen for yourself. Yes, chosen because that's a choice. Misery is a choice. Everything that is going on in your life can be full of joy and happiness. Yes, even the hard things and things you don't like to do. But just trying to brush off just your lack of inaction or maybe just drifting, right? By just saying this is just adulthood. I'm just busy. I don't have a purpose. There's no time for anything. It's just a lie. Lie number two, I've heard this one a few times and I've actually said it a few times. It's like, yeah, that's great and everything. I know things need to change, but I'm just so busy. John talked about this. I'm just so busy right now. I'll fix it. I'll figure it out when life slows down. I'll get on a routine when life slows down. I'll get my health together when life slows down. I'll date my wife more when life slows down. But we know that's a lie. Why? Because life doesn't slow down. It just doesn't. It doesn't slow down at all. It keeps going and going and going, no matter how hard you and much you want it to stop. That's just life. That's what that is, right? Responsibilities might increase. Things might happen that are outside of your control that send your whole world kind of spinning. And then that delay, waiting for that perfect time when life slows down, turns into years and years. And then you look back and you regret where you are and the fact that you didn't start them. Because what you tolerate now becomes your life, becomes your lifestyle. It's what your whole persona becomes when you tolerate unhealthy decisions. Moving
That's
on to
good. That's good. I
thank you.
like
Just
that
a
one. If
little
you guys didn't write that one down, write that one down.
so we're actually doing pretty good here for running on a hope and a prayer. It's coming to us. God's given us the words. I appreciate him because I don't know where we'd be tonight without it.
I'd be
The
in
third
bed.
lie, yeah, right? Facts. We're here to you guys because we cared that much about it. We wanted to get this done tonight. We thought about maybe pushing it back, or we're like, nope, we made it for tonight. We're gonna follow through. So jumping back into it as we distract ourselves, the third most common lie we hear is I just need more motivation. If you've heard John or I talk anything about this topic before, you will know what our standpoint is on motivation, and that is that it is a load of crap. Motivation fades. It does not stick around. You don't need people to constantly be motivating you because it's not always gonna work. You won't always have it. You won't always respond the same way to motivation. Motivation is great to get started, right? You need something to motivate you to change, but it's not going to keep you consistent. Discipline is what is going to sustain it. The standards that you set for yourself, what going to remain after that motivation leaves. So don't just rely on motivation. It's not going to be there for you. And then a fourth lie that we hear a lot is just blowing it off again, just kind of being like, other people have it worse. I'm perfectly fine. Like, I know I'm, not the best. I'm not in the best shape or my finances aren't where they need to be or whatever. But, people are worse off. What? So you just completely just negate all responsibility whatsoever by minimizing the fact that your life is kind of on a downward trend only because someone else is struggling more than you. Sorry, bro, that's not really something I'd go around bragging about. The comparison with that ridiculous situation numbs your conviction and completely keeps you from taking ownership of your life where it's at right now. Because you're not being measured against another man's struggle. The calling God's put on your life isn't being measured against other men. It's for you. Are you living up to the standard? Are you fulfilling the calling that God has given you? Not is Joe Blow down the street have more money in his bank account than you do, or less, I guess, right? If that's the comparison. So what we hope you're getting from all of this, just these four lies that we've thrown out there and the mental aspect and the spiritual aspect that John talked about is that you're not going to stay stuck because you're incapable of doing any of these things that we've talked about, or you're incapable of hitting any of the goals or dreams or standards that you had. You're not incapable, no matter who's lied to you, whether it's the enemy or other people, but you just stay stuck because you believe the wrong story about why you are where you're at and why you feel the certain way you do. Obviously, there's a lot more behind that, past traumas, lies, situations, whatever. But if you choose to continue to believe whatever lie you're telling yourself or was told to you, to stay in the exact same situation that you are currently in without doing anything and everything within your power to change it, you're not really manning up, dude. Sorry, you're not. So we're going to jump in to the next part here. John will lead us into this part where we actually finally give you some ways to fix and get rid of and help carry the weight that you are feeling.
Yeah. Hopefully this has not been like a 40 minutes of, my gosh, you just described all the weight I have and now the weight feels 10 pounds, like 10 times heavier. Hopefully that was not what you got out of this, because it was not meant to point and cast, arrows at the things that may be really getting at you. What it was really meant to do was expose them, help you identify them, so that then you can actually identify ways to take, like Ian said, to help actually alleviate some of this weight. And, one of the big things that he and I both believe in is really getting to the root of things. You hear us talk about that a lot, like the word anchor, the word root, because you got to go beyond surface level. If you want to get rid of the weight, you can't just look at the surface level of things. If you've ever seen, it's a graphic of this glacier, which is a little piece of the glacier sticking out of the water, and it's like what people see. And then you see the big part of the glacier underneath the water level, and it's what people don't see. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to get at here. That's the kind of the things we're trying to get at, because truly, if you address that, it affects all areas of your life, you guys. It's the way that we lead the men that we coach. It's the way that the big standards we put in it with our community. It's just what we really focus in on. And so, like, when we talk about the root and identity, we talk about, well, I just said it, identity, the root, cause, anchor. I was thinking like root and anchor, and I actually said the word I was looking for. So you
Very
start
good.
with your identity. That's your identity of who God has made you specifically to be. Okay, we have a great brother in Texas who every time we have prayer call every morning finishes with the tagline of "Be the man God created you to be." And that means that you have an identity. You have a unique identity that's different than every other person on this world, because God made you that way. Okay. Ian is made different than I am, who's made different than our buddy Jeremy, who's made different. You get the idea, right? But if we don't know whose we are and who we are, how can we act, right? If we're acting before our identity, then we're going to get lost. We're going to go in circles. We're going to spin our wheels for months, years, decades, and not go anywhere. You got to know who you are in your identity before you can actually act on it. Okay. And Ian talked about it a lot. He talked about this idea of not motivation, but discipline. Okay. Your discipline needs to come before your motivation. Okay. Because if you're just looking to get motivated, well, cool. You might feel motivated on Monday, but you're down on Tuesday. So you decide not to follow through on the things you need to do. Wednesday, you feel bad about not doing it on Tuesday. So you don't do it on Wednesday either. Thursday, you're like, well, I'm just going to get started next Monday because this week's shot. And it just becomes a never ending vicious feedback cycle. But if you can develop those disciplines, it ain't going to matter if you feel motivated in the morning when you get up. You're going to get up every day and be like, this is who I am based on your identity. And these are the standards I've set for myself. And these are the disciplines. So I don't give a darn what I'm feeling. I'm getting it done. I'm not going to hit that snooze button 5 times. It's just not going to happen. Right. We talked about it also. You need other guys if you need a brotherhood, you need those guys, whether they're local, whether they're digital, whether they're whatever, but you need men in your life who can hold you accountable, who can speak life into you. Because if you don't, it leads to burnout. You try to do this alpha thing so long, you are going to burn out. I mean, you can try to prove me wrong. You can go challenge accepted and like go for it. But I have a feeling down the road, I'm probably going to have the last laugh, because unfortunately you're going to be burned out. Okay. Guys need guys. We need brotherhood. I tried to do it myself for a long time. And guess what? I burned out. And I had to come to the humble realization that God created us for community, not to do things on a solo effort. Okay. We have to start looking at our faith, not as a label like we talked about, but we got to see our faith and our walk with the Lord as daily action, a daily lifestyle of things that we actually do, right? Every single day to grow closer to the Father, right? Whether it's time in the Word, time in prayer, time in fellowship, whatever it is. I mean, that's part of the reason why we have our daily morning prayers at 7:30 in the morning, is because, first of all, we bring brothers together, so we're getting that brotherhood. It's a discipline that's been established where we talk about whose we are and our identity, and we live out our faith by praying together. You see like how all these things go together in a simple little 20-minute get together that we do every weekday. I mean, think about it this way. Instead of feeling all the weight on yourself, imagine yourself living a life where you had really clear standards for yourself, really clear standards that you lived by. And that led to having to make fewer decisions. Like the average American or average person, I forget how many decisions it is a day they make. It's in the, I think, 5 digits. I want to say it's like 20,000 decisions a day that somebody makes. I forget the number. I could be way off. Ian's going to look it up so he can fact check me on this. But It's been researched how many decisions the average person makes a day. And imagine if you didn't have to make quite that many decisions, how much less stress you would experience. Instead of having to make so many decisions, you could actually just enjoy the present moment and not having to be thinking about the next decision 5 seconds down the road because of the clear standards that you brought up. How many?
You said 5 digits. You were right. It is 5 digits. It's about 35,000 decisions a day.
There it is. 35,000 decisions. That's a lot of
That hurts.
decisions, you guys. I mean, that's a lot of decisions. So you break it down by minute or second. I mean, you're making X number of
2,000
decisions
decisions
every
an
single
hour.
minute.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So that
that's
is a
ridiculous.
ton. That's ridiculous, right? I don't know about you, but that stresses me out just thinking about it. Imagine if you had such
Yeah.
clear standards and disciplines that you didn't have to make those kind of decisions, that you could actually like forego a few of those and you could actually live in the present moment for a change. Imagine the kind of peace that would bring to your body and to your mind and to your soul because, well, you don't have to make as many decisions. And imagine the kind of leadership then, if you're more peace, that's going to trickle out into all areas. And imagine the kind of leadership now you're going to be able to bring and the kind of confidence you're going to be able to walk in all other areas at work, at church, in your home, your first ministry that starts inside the home. Imagine that. Imagine the kind of life that would feel like. I don't know about you, but that would feel pretty good. That wouldn't feel like you're carrying 10,000 pounds on each shoulder. But because here's the thing, like when a guy starts to live aligned, I know we talked about alignment a little bit. When we start to live an aligned life, life will still get heavy. Life is still going to throw things at you, but it's not going to become chaotic. Okay. So yes, life will get heavy, but it's not going to be that chaos that a lot of guys get lost in. Okay. And that's really, I'm hoping, just some practical things that'll help you realize that, okay, yes, we have the weight, but there are ways to get past it. And so we have a challenge for you to kind of wrap this thing up tonight. And Ian's going to explain the challenge before we close this thing out. But I want you to take this challenge seriously because, again, this is the idea of putting things into practice. Okay, so if you're living a life where you're feeling really bogged down, you really feel burdened, you feel like the pressure of something right now is really getting to you, take this seriously because this is things that we work with guys all the time. That's what we do. We help them to realign. And they see some really incredible results from it. So Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, these are just simple action steps, guys. There's 5 of them, and
Nothing fancy.
Not fancy. That's what I was getting at. Thank you. It's not fancy. It's not hard. We're not looking for drastic life like completely remodel change right off the bat, right? It's got to be attainable. It's got to be simple. So you take these 5 steps, you put them into practice, and you let us know how it goes after the first couple weeks, how it's affected your life, right? The very first one is super simple. Wake up at the same time every single day. Without fail, you set your alarm, you wake up at the same time. Come hell or high water, right? You wake up at the same time every single day.
Even
it's
as
just
a
gotta start
firefighter.
that's the hardest thing, man. Honestly, that's the hardest thing so much. It's hard to wake up at the same time when you've just been awake. And then it's all night. And you're just like, well, I can get 2 hours of sleep or I can just stay up. But it's important. It's that discipline, right? You're going to move your body every single day. We're not talking about you have to go spend 3 hours at the gym. It can be as simple as taking a 10-minute walk after dinner. Guys, it's 10,000 steps a day, 20,000 steps a day, whatever is attainable for you, but just set time aside to move. And which is actually should be number 1. It is my fault for not catching it, but you're going to spend daily moments in prayer and in silence and just distraction free. Cut the distractions, give yourself as much time as you need to just spend time in the Word, talk with the Father, dive deep into His Word. And here's the most important thing is that you actually got to listen to anything that our Lord says back to you, or a feeling He gives you, or just being in His presence, just enjoying time there is enough, is plenty for a lot of us to get us through.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, I got something on that real quick.
No, we don't have time.
No, I'm too bad. No, you're not. No, sorry, I'm jumping in. You can try to cut me out on this one. Not happening. So I have a story on this one. It's a short story though. I'll promise it's a short story.
That's it.
Guys, sometimes prayer can feel awkward. Okay, I'll be honest. Like praying out loud, praying around others, it can feel awkward. I was talking about to even my father-in-law the other day. He's been a Christian for 40, 50 years. He'll still to this day tell me that it's awkward for him to pray, that he doesn't know what to say. But I think God's not looking for fancy words. God's not looking for certain phrases. He just wants a humble heart and he just wants surrender from you. He just wants to know
Yeah.
that you're seeking him with your whole being. So if you find it like awkward to pray or anything like that, that's why it's like a daily moment. It's not a daily 5 minutes. It's not a daily 10 minutes. Like start with a minute, start with a couple minutes of just seeking the Father in that silence and prayer. Just giving him, and it could be something as simple as like, Father, I have no idea what to say right now, but I just want to spend time with you. And guess what? Sit in that for a few minutes. Sit in that for a few moments. Like Ian said, God's gonna speak. He's gonna hear that. He just wants your heart, guys.
That's good. Just like talking to us, talking to a friend. That's all it is. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to, you don't have to put a lot out. You just talk. There's no specific way to pray. But this little soapbox I could get off on. 1, 2, 3. Number 4, we talked about community, obviously, and the importance of community. So get yourself in a community. We have a pretty baller one. We're not biased, but we're pretty proud of it. And
100%
just make
bias.
one. Ours is probably the best. No,
No, probably.
it's been good, and we have a lot of awesome men in there who are checking up on each other, and so just get yourself a community like the Relentless Pursuit, and just make a connection with a brother. Just make a post, make a comment, follow up, whatever it is. Make that a community connection. It doesn't have to be crazy, but make one of those at least a day. Just fuel that community, build those relationships, right? And I already talked about cutting distractions out of your prayer time and silent time, but we also want you guys to do an honest audit of your time and how you spend your time and cut one distraction out of it completely. We had one guy in the group tell us the other day that he completely cut his phone time. Like when he usually just sits and plays on his phone, he cut his phone time out and replaced it with face-to-face family time, and how much that alone has increased like his connection and relationship with his bride and kids. And it was just so awesome to hear and so cool. You're clear about what you're going to do, the steps, the discipline that you're going to take. That comes, and then the obedience, the follow through, the muscle memory comes after that. So you don't have to do this alone, guys. As we close, you don't have to do this alone. The brotherhood part is, we can't say that enough. And it's not just because we run a community, it's because we've lived it. I myself has also lived apart from community, that one, and by myself trying to figure it out and do it myself. And there's nothing like being a part of community that not only cares and loves and accepts you, but also challenges and pushes you and calls you on your crap and wants to see you succeed, like in all areas, abundantly succeed in all areas. There's nothing like it. So just like this, we want you to use this channel as a tool for that community, a tool to just kind of maybe an insight into how to just step into the calling that God has created for you, called you into, step further into the man that God has called you to be. And yeah, John will wrap it up after that because my mind shut
Nice.
off,
Yeah.
literally.
That's it. You pretty much covered the ending there, but guys, hopefully you found some of this helpful. If you have, help us reach other guys, like help us to reach other men with this, because we feel like God is really working through this and with this, and he has a plan that is bigger than than Ian and I even know of with this. So if it's been helpful in any way, hit a subscribe button. That would just help us, like I said, help the analytics, all those fancy, algorithms, like show it to more people. But share it with the guy. Everybody, I think, knows of a guy who's carrying some pretty heavy weight right now. Share it with them, because guess what? We want to see them not carry that load so much. We want to see them be able to alleviate some of the weight. And then, if you're really ready for higher standards for that community, for that just next step, come join us. Come join us on School. The link is in the show notes here. It's a free community to join. Come there, because everybody's welcome. And honestly, it's a great place to be. It's a great place to be. There's a ton of great men in there who, even today, when we were talking with one that we hadn't heard of in a couple of days, they're like, it really meant a lot to them that we hadn't heard from him in a couple of days, and we were reaching out personally to be like, hey, are you okay? Like, those are the kind of guys that are in this community, because we care about each other. We want to see each other succeed and grow and all those things. So, the weight that you're feeling doesn't mean that you're failing, but it means that you're built to carry more, just with structure. So appreciate you guys being on. Like I said, hit the subscribe, share with somebody, come join us on School. We'll catch you on the next one.